Hello, everybody. Sorry, Dan. I'm gonna have to start again in a sec. I'm just looking for where the clock is, so I can keep an eye on that.
Yep. Yeah. So I think I've got it. I've got it on the top of my screen. Can you see it?
Oh, I see now. Yeah, where it says rec. Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So yeah. Well, I've not stopped the recording. So just start whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, dear listener, and welcome back to the podcast on which we talk about horror. Sometimes we talk about other things, and sometimes we swear. I am your host this episode, TD Velasquez, occasional writer about films, TV, and other nonsense. And I have the great pleasure of being joined by longtime compadre and podcaster extraordinaire, Spider Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Dan. I'm back, and we're talking all things. We're going back to the beginning when we've first started our podcast journey together, talking about all Hallows Eves and shapes and evil and all sorts.
Indeed. I remember when I think maybe it was when we recorded the discussion of Halloween 2, the second ever one we did. And I said, hello, Dan. And you said, hello, Dan, I'm back. It's the night I came back. And indeed, we are resuming a long time journey, which goes back to before and now the podcast really started, and before your podcast started. No, in those days we were just
Absolutely right.
recording bits and popping it on YouTube kind of irregularly. And it was you, I, and Howard. And we weren't all together for all the films in the series. There were 11 Halloween films at that point, but most of the episodes had the three of us on. Certainly the first 3 episodes did.
Yes.
And then
Definitely.
You came back from time to time, and then we ended up all 3 of us plus Ian. It was Ian's first ever recording for this podcast. Was talking about Halloween 2018 in 2018, and then it's taken us many years to get round to doing any more. But now there are 2. Well, now there have been 2 more Halloween films for a couple of years, and it's time that we talked about them. Alas, Howard can't join us in person, but I did ring him up to get his reaction to these movies. And what we're going to do, Dan and dear listener, we're all going to listen to Howard in real time, and then Dan and I will react to Howard's thoughts upon the movie. In this episode, we're going to talk about Halloween Kills from 2021, a movie that came out in the height of the pandemic, which it is possibly only part of the reason why I didn't see it at the time. And I didn't see it for many years, so therefore I didn't see Halloween Ends, the following film. And I've only just got round to watching them for the first time. I think you did see them when they came out there, Dan. Is that right?
I did, yeah. If you remember, I think I was the only person who enjoyed the 2018 film at the time, for the most part, in our discussion.
You were the most positive. I was a bit mixed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was. I think I was the most positive. I remember Ian wasn't keen. I remember Howard definitely wasn't that keen. But yeah, I think as Halloween sequels or retreads go, I think it was particularly strong, and I still think it's particularly strong. Having rewatched it recently, I did it back to back. I did the whole full night of Halloween 2018 Halloween Kills of a back to back double bill,
Right.
and I still like it for what it is, and I think if you're happy with that film, I think there's ends quite well and succinctly, and you could leave it there if you want, or if you want, you can carry on and watch the rest of the films. It's up to you. But yes, I still quite enjoy that one. But yes, I did see these as they came out. And I have, of course, I'll have thoughts, and we'll hear Howard's very shortly. And we'll hear your thoughts. I'm very interested to hear what you think as well.
Thank you, mate. Well, I mean, I would like to stress that in parts, I was very positive about 2018. It was disappointing in certain ways to me, but I certainly thought that, like, the last half hour, particularly was really good. And you are quite right; it's a good ending to the series. And yeah, parts of my feelings on the subsequent films kind of reflect the fact that I don't think that they live up to it in certain ways. Some of the things which I really liked about 2018 seem to have been kind of abandoned. But we'll get to that. So what we'll do, dear listener, is I'm going to sum up the plot, such as it is, of Halloween Kills, just because you, the listener, may not have seen the film. Then we're going to listen to a phone call between myself and Howard. I had to ring him up to get his thoughts on this. And then after that phone call, Dan and I will react to Howard's thoughts and give our own on this movie. So here we go. Halloween. Sorry, I was going to say Halloween 2018. Halloween Kills 2021. Here we go. So this is the part where I'll insert a plot summary. Let's just listen to Howard.
Hello.
Hello, Howard.
Hello.
I hear that you've watched Halloween Kills.
Where did you hear that libelous rumour?
Well, I do remember receiving a message from you which said, "I've just watched Halloween Kills," and it went on to say, "And I'm so glad that I'll never have to watch it again." So
Yes, I am. I'm very pleased about that. I will never have to watch that film again for the rest of my life. That does fill me with a certain joy, and that's worth celebrating. No, I didn't like it very much.
to say the least.
Yeah. Do you want to know why I didn't like it very much?
Yes, I'd be fascinated. I'm sure there are many reasons which I may or may not concur with. Go on.
Well, I just thought it was the absence of tension, suspense, atmosphere, good dialogue, interesting characterization, or indeed anything else that makes a film enjoyable. There wasn't anything. It was just another. See, what kind of annoys me about these three films particularly? We've spoken about the first one, haven't we?
Yes.
Because I went to see that in the cinema actually, and the man behind me was asleep, and I could understand why.
Right.
But what annoys me is the idea that I get the feeling that the people who make these films, is his name David Green or something? Is it something like that?
David Gordon Green, the director. Yeah.
Oh, don't forget the Gordon. He thinks he's doing something really kind of interesting and really dramatic and really exciting, but he's not.
Right.
He's doing exactly the same as all the other people did. And what's even more annoying, or I found annoying, is the idea that he's kind of dismissed all the other sequels.
Yes.
You know, all the other ones, from 2 onwards, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
They're irrelevant. They don't matter. They're not part of it. These are the sequels. These are the proper sequels. My films are the proper sequels, and all the other ones are just kind of inconsequential and don't matter and can be forgotten. But his films are just as bad as all the others. They're no different. He's doing exactly the same thing. And in fact, I would say that the only one that I think really is any good is Halloween H2O of the sequels.
Right.
But that one didn't exist. And I did get a bit confused when a character who died in Halloween H2O was alive again in this film.
Yes.
And get killed again.
Yeah, Marion, yeah.
I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Yeah, I think that I have a slightly different. Well, I've reached a conclusion about Jamie Lee Curtis based on seeing her do interviews to promote this film, in which she calls the movie a masterpiece. So that makes me convinced that she never watched it, which I imagine she's always said she doesn't like horror films. She's too scared. So and I always wondered if that was a bit of flannel because you probably would watch your own films, wouldn't you? You'd want to see how they turned out. But
Well, I think so.
I'm pretty convinced that she's never seen this, and therefore maybe she's never seen Halloween or The Fog or Prom Night or Terror Train or anything like that. And God bless her, because she's great in all of the films. Her performance never let it down at all. But
Of course, she's always great, and I'm very pleased she's won an Oscar now because I think she deserves one. It's not. It's just she's.
I will say that I don't particularly like this trilogy, and I'll go into more detail about that. But I'm glad that they brought her back and put her in the position that she is now. I think without these 3 Halloween films, she wouldn't have gone on to win that Oscar, and she wouldn't be doing the prestige projects that she's now doing. And that is fantastic. It's a wonderful revival to her career.
Revival. I'm pleased for her, but it's that still doesn't justify.
No.
Nothing that can justify these films. All 3 of them. I hate all 3 of them.
Right.
But this one, I don't know. I mean, it's just the same old, same old. I mean, I've said this before, and I'm sure I've said this in so many of the podcasts we've done about Halloween, that everybody gets it wrong. The first film is not about the killing, it's about what happens between the killing, but all the sequels have been about the killing. And no matter what else you do, you can have psychic children or druids or reality TV stars or set it in a hospital, whatever it is you want to do. All that stuff is kind of superficial. It's all secondary. It's all window dressing. The only really important thing, the whole raison d'etre of these films, is to see Michael Myers killing people in as brutal a way as possible. That's what the audience pays the tickets, buys the tickets to see. It pays to see him sticking a knife in somebody's eye, or crushing somebody's head, or cutting somebody's throat, and that's what the people want. And all the other stuff is kind of fairly irrelevant. It's just, and I just felt with these films, it felt like they're trying to do something, but they don't do it, Sort of in this one, in the Kill film, it's sort of like, well, we're trying to show how everybody can become a monster, sort of like the mob. Evil dies tonight, and they all sort of go on the rampage, and evil is inside all of us, kind of thing. We can all do, but it just doesn't come to anything because it's not well written. I don't think it's well written, partly because everybody speaks in exactly the same way.
Yeah.
There's no real characterization. Everybody speaks the same way. Everybody's effing and blinding and just. And also, there's kind of characters. Are those 2 guys, are they gay, or are they friends, or they're living in the house?
Oh no, they're definitely gay. Yeah.
Gay people. I mean, even I couldn't. There's so little characterization. I wasn't even kind of sure about that. But then, they just. The one thing that epitomizes it most for me, right, just what's wrong with these kind of films. There is a character, isn't there? He's an inmate in the first film.
Yes.
In the institution. He's a funny little dumpy bloke with long hair.
Yeah.
And he suddenly turns up in the white outfit that they have in the hospital. And the people, the rampaging mob, they think he's Michael Myers, and they chase after him, and they chase him up to the top of the hospital, and he locks the doors, but they're going to break them down. And he looks a bit anguished, and he realizes there's no escape, and he jumps out of the window, top floor window, and kills himself.
Yeah.
Now, that should be dramatically powerful, and that should be emotionally affecting. But it absolutely isn't, because we don't know anything about that character. We don't know who he is. We don't really know why he's there. He is just brought into the story so he can kill himself.
Yeah.
And it's just that kind of complete absence. It's just a narrative contrivance. It's just sort of, there's no character. That's what he's there for, to make that point that the mob has caused this man to die. But there's no build-up to it, and it's just so kind of, it's all so empty. Nothing really, you don't feel anything. And there's like the guy, Tommy, he's the little boy in the first film, isn't he? And he's all grown up and everything.
Yeah.
And he just gets stabbed. He's on hunting down Michael Myers, and he just gets killed. It's just, just nothing. It's just, there's no, it doesn't really say anything about his character or what he's had to, only in the most superficial sort of way.
Well, he's the one who. It's Tom. Are we talking about the same character? Tommy is the one who kind of leads the mob and survives to the end of the film.
I think he's played by a guy who used to be in sort of teen movies in the 1980s, isn't he? Sort of?
Yes, Anthony Michael Hall. Yeah.
No, but I mean, the acting's good. I've got no problem with the acting. It's just these actors have got nothing to work with. There's no character. It's just there's nothing.
Well. 2 final questions then, Howard. Well, sorry to interrupt you. You sounded like you were going on to say something there.
Well, there wasn't anything complimentary, but yes.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, well, I'm getting a strong negative vibe from you, Howard, on this, and that's
Really?
that's fair enough, and not in. Not entirely unexpected. So I will just ask you two questions then. One, what did you think of all the characters who came back, such as Tommy, but also, because he's not played by the same actor, but bringing back Nancy Stevens as Marion and Kyle Richards as Lindsay and Charles Cyphers even as as was Sheriff Brackett, is now the security guard at the hospital for some reason in his 80s.
In his 80s.
Yeah.
It's just kind of that sort of fan thing, isn't it? They just want to say, we're doing this for the fans so they can see these. Well, it's nice to know they're all still alive, and still working and everything. But I just thought, you're bringing them back, but you're not doing anything remotely interesting with them. That's the whole thing. Nobody's doing anything interesting with this story or with these characters or anything. It's so generic, it's so predictable. It's the same old, over and over again. It's nice to see Sheriff Brackett there, but he just turns up long enough to be killed. He's just there in the hospital, and then he gets killed. He doesn't really do anything very much.
Yeah.
He's there supposed to please the fans, and he's there supposedly for a shock moment when he dies. But it just doesn't mean anything. This is what's I felt so detached from everything.
Yeah.
Because nothing affects you emotionally. We were talking about Amicus films a few weeks ago, weren't we? And I was just comparing the Amicus films with these sort of things, and you do kind of care about the characters, as wacky as they are, strange, you do kind of care about the people in them, partly because they're played by actors that you like, but, you do, when people die, it means something, and in these films it doesn't, because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know Michael Myers is going to kill you. You know what is going to happen all the time, all the way through it. And it's the easiest thing in the world to create a bit of suspense by having somebody walk through a dark house and, when is he going to jump out and everything, what's going to happen. I mean, but he is going to jump out at some point. It's just a question of when. So there's just no tension. I think that was the thing that really bothered me. There was just no tension.
Yeah.
You don't really care what's going on because you know what is going to happen.
And so my other question about the characters is, most of the characters in this film, it just seems to be a succession of short-term characters who wander into the movie and then get killed, whether they are new characters or returning legacy characters. Did you think there were any good characters in the movie that developed in an interesting way, or were they all bad?
Well, I think, the Laurie's, Jamie Lee Curtis, yes, she's suffering from PTSD and everything, and she's become this kind of. Although I preferred what they did with her in Halloween H2O when she was the headmistress. I thought that was a more kind of engaging character for her then.
Sure.
But her and the daughter, and they are, because I think the actors are good, but it's just they don't do enough to make it. And every so often somebody makes a speech about evil or something, and it's like, oh God, not again. We're like, sort of the evil insiders, and Michael Myers gets more powerful. We've heard this. We've heard, just. I just find the whole thing very kind of wearying, really, and sort of boring.
I think that's probably not an unreasonable viewpoint. Final thing then, what did you think of the fake Donald Pleasance? Did Michael kill again?
That was the most interesting thing.
Right.
They do a kind of flashback, don't they? And somebody comes in, and I thought it was Donald Pleasance.
Right.
Well, you only see him at a distance at the bottom of the stairs, but I thought, my God, is this some kind of... Because it's got to be CGI. They've recreated him CGI.
Yeah, because he even moves like him. That's what I thought was interesting.
And I thought, we'd never heard about this. I know nobody's mentioned that they've done this brilliant CGI recreation of Donald Pleasance, just because we heard all about Peter Cushing when he was in the Star Wars film, and how he did that. We got, I can't remember his name now, but the guy from Holby City.
Guy Henry, yeah.
Guy Henry, yeah. Dr. Terror used to be.
Yes.
I thought, my God, what have they done? And then I read, because I went on IMDb to look at the trivia in case, because we were doing this, and it said somebody who worked in the set building department or something bore this uncanny resemblance to Donald Pleasance. And so they made him up, and they brought him on, and somebody else was doing the voice and everything. I thought, God, for a moment there, it was actually interesting.
Yes.
And I was actually wanted to know what was going to happen, because I thought, how have they done this? I really don't know how they've done this. So that was good, yes. I mean, all the early ones, you can say what you like about Halloween 2, 4, and 5, but they're not very good. They're really not very good. But Donald Pleasance is in them.
Yeah.
And Donald Pleasance makes them good. His performance gives it a weight and a gravity that it wouldn't otherwise have. And I kind of think without him, as good as Jamie Lee Curtis is, and she is, it's still lacking something because it doesn't have Donald Pleasance. It doesn't have that sort of character in it. And you saw in the previous one, there was the psychiatrist who turned out to be a baddie in the end. Sorry. But Michael Myers is always snapping on people's heads as well, isn't he?
He is in the new ones, yeah.
Snapping on their heads. Like, you couldn't do it. You'd have to weigh about 50 stone in order to crush somebody's head like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. And he's always sticking people to walls. It's the same old thing. Will Patton, an excellent actor, really a wonderful actor, again, got nothing really to work with.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't remember. See, they all blur into each other. Yeah, can't actually remember what was in which film. But I think a girl is murdered. I think this might have been in the first one. A girl is murdered, and then he comes in the room, and then the guy is stuck to the wall.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, we've seen that.
Yeah, yeah.
Not shocking, because we've seen it done before. It's supposed to be... And, in this one, there's a guy called Oscar, isn't there? And he's sort of a bit of a geek or a bit of a schleb or whatever.
In the first one, in 2018. Yeah.
Oh, is it? I do get mixed.
We see him in the morgue in Halloween Kills.
Yeah. He's a dead man.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought in all those scenes, there's just no atmosphere. There's just no tension because you just know what's going to happen. And so I'm trying to remember what he's actually in Halloween Kills.
Well, in a way, this is the best thing you can say about the movie. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It's called Halloween Kills, and it has kills and nothing but kills. That's the whole film.
Yes, that's what it is. And it's just like, they bring back Lonnie.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where Lonnie falls over and he's being bullied, and Michael Myers doesn't kill him. You think, oh, that's going to lead to something. There's something going to go on there. But then later on in the film, he just kills him. You don't even see him kill him.
Yeah.
It happens off screen.
Yeah, it's one of the few off-screen deaths. Yeah.
Do anything with it.
Yeah. Yeah, very odd. Okay, Doc, Howard, I think we better wind up the talk about Halloween Kills then. I think you've made your feelings quite well known.
If we keep on, I might have a stroke.
It's okay. Well,
I get hypertension.
maybe Halloween Ends will give you some relief. Who knows? We'll find out another time. But yes.
I wouldn't count on it.
Okay, well, that'll be interesting. All right, Howard, thank you so much.
Okay, nice to speak to you.
And myself and Spider Dan will now react to your thoughts.
Oh.
Okay, Doc Howard. I'll just stop the record. Awesome. Right. Well, then, I think there was a touch of negativity there. So I'm counting on you to be more positive, Dan.
I'll try my best. I will try my best.
I think I should show my hand and say I largely agree with what Howard says. I wouldn't be able to match the ferocity of his rant, although I could. I think there's even more to rant about that he didn't even touch on. But I'll just say that after 2018, which I was very mixed on, because I thought it was very good in some ways, but in other ways, I thought it failed to do what I hoped it would, and really recreate the feel of the original that all the previous sequels had already missed. The things that are good in 2018 are like a certain amount of the drama, some of the shocks, some of the suspense sequences, but there isn't really that atmosphere of spookiness that the original has at all. They don't seem to even try to recreate that. And because they haven't tried that, I thought, well, they're not going to try now. That ship has sailed. I will make peace with the fact that, most Halloween fans don't love the same things in the franchise that I do. And therefore, we're going to get future films which are about, not spooky, not fun in the way that I enjoyed the original, but will be based around death sequences and suspense sequences. And lo and behold, the next film came out and is called Halloween Kills, so I wasn't really expecting it to be any different. And you know, yeah, that's the best thing I can say about it, is that it does what it says on the tin. You expect kills, you are given kills, lots of kills, some quite inventively staged. And I've no problem with the way the movie is made at all, and the shooting of it and the editing of it and things like that, and the performances. But I don't think there's really a story going on here, and there isn't. None of these movies really feel to me like a supernatural thrill ride. At best, they're a kind of intense drama. That's what they seem to be going for. And um, and on that level, I kind of was not annoyed by Halloween Kills because it didn't really contain anything that I didn't expect it to. But if I wanted to, I could rant about a succession of things that I found poor and annoying. But Howard's just done that, so I'm not going to add to it unless you invite me to specifically. I'd be more interested in hearing your thoughts, Dan.
So again, I really enjoyed 2018. So I was hoping for kind of again, I vary on slasher movies and where I stand and what I want from them and what I get from them, and different franchises can give you different things. I see this as kind of a Friday, almost like Friday the 13th Part 5, the new chapter, and maybe a little bit the next one as well, because they play around with a kind of a similar idea in that. But that one is like had the most kills in that franchise in that one film, and the most characters introduced in order to get the most kills in that film. And I feel like almost there's a little bit of that here, where it's like introduce as many characters as possible, add to the already stacked amount of characters we had in the first film, and let's dispatch them. Yeah. And yeah, I can't disagree. Why are we getting these legacy characters, as we'll call them, come back? Even in some cases, not played by the same actors. Tommy Doyle is not the same actor. Lonnie's not the same actor.
Yeah.
I appreciate in a way, because I'm a big fan of like continuity and kind of Easter eggs and references and stuff, but you can't build a good film purely on those alone. They are kind of, they're the icing on the cake, so to speak,
Yeah.
So I do like that. And again, I think Howard's right. I think the general audience going in might confuse it with the 13 or 12 films that have come before. Which timeline are we in? Who's alive? But with this film, I felt like this, like you said, the stuff that they set up in that film, the first 2018 one, as mixed as you found it, I felt like there was an eeriness, there was kind of some element of the supernatural. But I think in an interview I saw, David Gordon Green said, I would never do the supernatural thing. He's a guy. He's this. He's that. But he almost approaches the supernatural thing is that his evil and his depravity and anger and frustration is almost affecting the town, and he's attacking the town with that. Like he's infecting the town with his evil, and other people, and they're doing these horrible things or killing themselves or getting into situations. Like again, it's not necessarily a bad idea or an uninteresting idea.
No, I don't think so.
But
go on.
I think. Go on. You go on. Dan. You got something.
I feel like those ideas are more come out in Halloween Ends than in this film.
Yes. Yeah, but I think they're teased a little bit. I think they're very vaguely teasing them here. But yes, we'll see the culmination of that teasing in the next one. But we'll talk about that when we get there. But for me, this one didn't have a plot to speak of, or felt like there was much of a theme going on. Felt like there was much, like I remember when we did Halloween 4, and I said how much I enjoyed the vigilante mob storyline in that, and I was like, oh, I wonder if they did like a whole film of this, what would it be like? How, and be careful what you wish for, Dan, because I got it here. I got it here, and I was absolutely sick to my teeth of it by the end. Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight.
Yeah.
If I never hear that phrase again, it'll be too soon. And again, it is an interesting idea potentially, and the lawman having the issue, and again the mental patient, being kind of, people think he's Michael, they think he's the perpetrator. No one can get a really good look at him, but they're like, something's going on, and the riling up of them. But my main problem is with this film, the way that the townspeople are acting is that they're acting. And again, like the previous 2018, even though it forgets a lot of the sequels, most of the, or all the sequels, in fact, it still references them or has plot points from previous versions, including Halloween Ends to a degree. It still wants to kind of revisit or play around with those ideas.
Yes.
Like for this, we're mostly in a hospital. It's Halloween 2. Laurie's in a bed. She's injured after fighting Michael. So we have that. And again, I feel that is a mistake for me, that Laurie is mostly out of the story. And it's down to Judy Greer, who's fantastic.
She is.
Andy Matichak, who again is fantastic. Great actors, but like Howard said, I can't disagree with most of the things he said, because they are given not much to do. And not much conflict is there. But yeah, like there's not a thing here where it makes really much sense. Again, you can say, oh, it's the evil of Michael that infecting them, and the panic and the stress, and it's almost like all the sequels did happen.
Yeah.
Because the town is like, the way they talk about Michael, the way they constantly go on about him. He's only had there's only the killings he did as a kid and the original Halloween film where he's an adult. Those are the only two occasions where he's killed. Again, horrible. People have died. There's a kid in the first one who in 2018 says only 4 people died. That's like not really a big deal in the grand scheme of things. Not like a massacre or a Jonestown situation or a war. He's kind of and obviously he's been insensitive about that particular moment, but also is not untrue in what he's saying. But the way they are acting is like he's been killing people every Halloween for the last 12 or 13 films, for the last however many years it's been. That's the way they're acting, and they're still talking about him, and everyone knows the story, everyone knows the legend, and that doctor couple that we see briefly in the first film. That the nurse and the doctor who turn up, and then all of a sudden they're on board with the vigilante mob, within seconds.
Are they in? Sorry, are you talking about the black couple?
Yes, the couple that are dressed as a doctor and a nurse.
Are they in Halloween 2018? I didn't.
Yes, there's a few little. This was me watching it back to back as well as me noticing some of these things. Like the kid who's being interviewed on the TV in the bar is the kid that Laurie's friend, not Laurie's friend, Alison's friend. The one who gets stoned in the first film.
Yes,
the kid being interviewed on the TV is that kid, and that there's that tracking shot in 2018 where he's walking in between all the houses. You see them there, and what's funny there is he goes, I forgot my stethoscope in 2018. So he goes back into his house and gets it. And the reason he goes back into the bar is because he's forgot his stethoscope again. So I like those connective little bits. Again, you wouldn't notice them necessarily. Yeah, you wouldn't notice them necessarily if you didn't watch them as closely as I watch them. And again,
sorry, Dan.
Sorry.
You were comparing it to Halloween 2, though, and I think a title in my head for this movie would be Halloween. Wasn't Halloween 2 much better than you thought? Because it's like this film is very close to what Halloween 2 did. It's mostly set in a hospital. It follows on the minute from the end of the previous film. But it makes all the same mistakes and doesn't really do any of the good things that Halloween 2 did do. So, again, Laurie is in bed for the whole movie, pretty much. But, why didn't they learn that lesson? maybe it's because Jamie Lee Curtis could only shoot for 3 days or something, but and
Perhaps,
and
yeah.
also the
But I
sense of
completely agree with you.
plotlessness. Halloween 2 is quite good in some ways, but it is could just be described as a series of killings that kind of don't go anywhere for a long time, and then there's an exciting ending. This movie is that, but without even the exciting ending. It doesn't even bring things together properly. Although actually, I do think the brief moment towards the end when Judy Greer's Karen confronts Michael does raise the stakes a bit, but then he just kills everyone, and and nobody reacts as if they've not just beaten him to death. It's bizarre,
Another thing I'd like to say as well is that all the victims, I'm going to use the term quote unquote victims in this film, most of them are absolute idiots, and not only do a lot of them kill themselves while either fleeing, attacking, or defending themselves from Michael. So, it's usually their own mistake that actually kills them, not him. Like the doctor who's dressed as a nurse, because the male of the couple is a nurse, but he's dressed as a doctor.
And I like that detail. I like those two characters. I thought they're going to do something interesting with these guys, and then they're just killed very quickly, very soon.
Yeah, and you'd think they would tie them somehow back to the hospital as well, because if it's a hospital theme and, maybe they have information or they visit, Laurie or something. But no, that moment where, Marion says this is for Dr. Loomis. And I'm kind of like, did she really know Dr. Loomis that well?
Yeah.
Is he really I thought it was just that. And again, we don't have Halloween 2, so she doesn't revisit. So they've not got that further connection there. It's just like one night she may have known him, or potentially longer. I don't know. I can't remember the original film or what their relationship was. But yeah, just the way they sometimes some of the references do feel kind of crowbarred in a little bit as well. Like, again, it's like here's some exposition about this night and this happened, and the Lonnie thing as well.
I mean, the whole opening scene where Tommy Anthony Michael Hall gets up and does an open mic night speech about Halloween, what happened in 1978. That's just like the worst scene of all time in any movie, just because it's like it's like the filmmakers can't think of any better way to fill in the backstory than have a character get up in front of a microphone and go, "This is what happened 40 years ago, and those people over there were there, and that's who that is, and that's it." And the camera kind of pans over them, and they're all sitting there in a row. It's like, this is not drama.
No.
Bizarre.
And the thing is, they're showing that night. They're already showing that night in this film. We don't need to hear about it as well. Just show the rest of it. Show what happens to Tommy and Lindsay. Show what, the after effect. Because there are scenes missing from Halloween 2 and Halloween about those characters. We could see what happened a bit more to Laurie. Again, we learned that Michael gets arrested, which feels odd to me as well, that he would just stop.
Well, yes. I know. That's a good point. They never explain that. They never go back to that. No. Why did he do that? I mean, I think I said this in our 2018 review. You can hear the rant temperature rising here. Sorry about that. I can feel it. But, I think I said my feeling about 2018 was it's not a bad movie, but it's not really. It doesn't feel like a sequel to Halloween. It feels like a sequel to Halloween if it had a much more boring ending, where they just apprehended him instead of him mysteriously vanishing. And now in this film, we have the actual scene of the boring ending. We get to sit through it. And to be fair, it's one of the best bits of the film because it's quite well done and because it has...
Yes, I agree.
Spooky moments in it, like the bit that Howard mentioned where Michael doesn't kill Lonnie for some reason. And you think, is this going to be returned to? But no, none of that is. And also the fact that they take quite a long time to give Will Patton's character, Detective Hawkins, quite a good backstory. You know, his sense of long-term ingrained guilt about failing to save his partner, things like that. But then they don't really do anything with that at all. In any of the three films, it's almost as if they give Will Patton a really interesting backstory, but a different actor actually does that scene, and Will Patton just has looking a bit sad and never really actually does anything. And yeah, so
Yeah, I don't have much else to say. I think the the kills are good. They look good. There's a lot of practical effects in there. They're enjoyable, but it doesn't like kills themselves aren't necessarily gonna fulfill my need for story and for drama and for insight and all this other stuff. Yeah, they're good, and like you said, you and Howard said, there's some very interesting ways they're shot and done, and in the firefighting scene when he's escaping the house, I thought was great. Yeah, and he's using all their weapons, all their tools against the firefighters.
Yes.
Again, utterly ludicrous. And some of these kills, I think, here are particularly kind of cartoony as well. Like, and in the 2018 version, there is like extreme violence, but I think some of them get to a point where I'm like, this is just like Looney Tunes kind of violence at this point. But yeah,
and also
it is what it is.
all those violent acts are ascribed to a man in his 60s as well, who apparently, according to the director, is no longer a supernatural force, and yet he's able to survive being shot point blank, being hit with various things, being stabbed, and the
shot.
things
He's only got 3 fingers on one hand from 2018.
I remember being really thrilled at that scene at the end of 2018. The fact they did some damage to him, which seemed to be irreversible, and it was irreversible as far as we know. But then they don't reference it at all in this film. That he's only got
the thing is with the the thing is with the director saying, "Oh, I'd never do the supernatural thing." I think they really lean into it in this one, and especially the next one. I think they do really lean into it. It's not like there's definite for me implications, like heavy implications, that it is supernatural, and the amount of damage he sustains. Like you said, as a 60-year-old man who seemingly doesn't do any physical exercise or maintaining his body, just stares out the window, again, like the kind of stuff like how does he know how to drive a car and all this kind of stuff. And again, like I really do think they do imply there's something more, and the dialogue does, the characters do, they imply there is more than just a man here.
Well, they're all calling
which
him
is so strange to me
all the time.
Yeah,
and
exactly. And yeah, I just don't get it. Because I feel like it's such a heavy implication. Again, especially in this one, especially in the next one, definitely in the first 2018 version as well. I think there is, and I don't know if maybe the directors or the producers are like, don't say he's supernatural. Nobody likes him being supernatural. I think it should always be a factor in these films. I've said it in the previous podcast. I think it should always be a factor, but it shouldn't be an overt thing or explained or gone in on. Just that he is potentially more than human. He is potentially more than just a man. But yeah, don't explain it. No cults, no mutant abilities or anything like that. Just that he is a bit more than just your regular man. Because otherwise, I don't know if it's that character is as interesting if he is just a man.
Yeah, I think you don't have to explain it. Explaining it usually diminishes the power of the supernatural thing that you are trying to portray. There is an exception to this, which is the work of Nigel Neal, who wrote Halloween 3. He finds a way in some of his ghost story type things to explain how ghosts work and yet have them still be frightening. But for the most part, yeah, an explanation dilutes, sometimes entirely ruins the frightening power of the supernatural thing. But just because you can't explain it doesn't mean you can't build on it and you can't like experience more of it. And I feel like it's a shame that this movie particularly, not only does it not go beyond the things that were set up in the previous movie in terms of what Michael can do, what he's like, but it doesn't really go beyond anything that was in the previous 10 movies either. You know, everything, even all the killings, although they are quite well staged and sometimes quite imaginative, they're all based on bits from the previous movies, like even the Rob Zombie ones, you know, I think has an influence on the way Michael does violence. And I think that's a shame, you know, that, like Howard said, we've seen all this stuff. There should be something more. You know, if you're going to make 11 movies about this guy, or 12 now, you know, you should have found some different things to do, and there's just pretty much nothing. I find.
I think he might. I don't know if it's even like a conscious thing he's doing, like consciously referencing. I mean, there are conscious references to different films and different. You know, we've got the Halloween 3 masks, which again we know is not on the same continuity of all the other films. You know, we've got other stuff going on and little kind of, you know, again plot threads and points, things like that. But it's almost like because it's the postmodern, you know, Halloween film. I guess you can't. There's nothing else to crib from or to change or to make original anymore. So why not, I guess, steer into the skid and just do the stuff again? I mean, again, it's the cash cow it is, and I'm sure the producers had quite a big say. Well, I mean, my one positive, I guess, would be the music. I think the music by John Carpenter's son and the other fella they have, I think, is excellent, and does a lot of the heavy lifting. I think for all of these films.
I like the scores a lot. I think this one probably isn't as good as Halloween 2018, which did have some bits where it wasn't just recreating the original music, but some of the kind of new tracks that they did really popped and really worked. And I can't really remember any of the new stuff from this movie. It's all kind of you know, retreads of the existing cues. But yeah, I think the movie sounds good. I think it looks good, and it has a couple of ideas, but it just doesn't go anywhere with any of them. And that was that's the thing I found most frustrating. One of the most frustrating thing is that they did introduce a couple of new characters who could have been interesting and had something about them, and usually in pairs. So the doctor and nurse couple, the gay couple, and like the elderly couple near the start, they instantly make an impact. This is something that I suppose, you know, the director should be credited with, in that he's able to quickly create characters who kind of make you almost feel for them. Certainly notice them.
Yeah.
But he then gets rid of them so quickly that it's kind of all for nothing.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they try to up the humor as well. Like they're almost like, you know, almost like I'm saying, like the kills are a bit cartoony. It's almost like, oh, is it like? And I do laugh at extreme violence because it's so ridiculous sometimes, like so over the top. And I feel they do try and up the humor a little bit in this one, like a tad. And I feel like it's not as well balanced as the 2018 version of that. There are jokes and there's humor there, but it doesn't like it doesn't cross over or like outstay its welcome. But I feel like here we're getting like the extreme two opposites going in two extreme directions. You're getting the extreme violence and the extreme like wacky humorous characters. You know, so yeah, it's a bit of a mess for me. This a bit of a mess. A rotten pumpkin, you might say.
Rancid, absolutely rancid. Yeah,
rancid.
A bit of a mess is putting it quite kindly, Dan, I think.
More of the night he came home again.
Yes. My God. It really is, isn't it? I still think there could have been something more done with that premise of. I mean, with the original Halloween 2, I think that, it's not the greatest film ever made, but the basic idea of picking up immediately after the end of the previous film is quite an interesting thing. And they've done that again, and I think that was a good step to take. They could have extended it.
I agree.
But they could have done more interesting things with it. I mean, I'll tell you what I do like. Oh, I found something positive, right? In this, and Halloween 2, and probably in Halloween Ends as well. Basically, in all the Halloween films that have a bit of a budget, which the original didn't have, there are moments, and I think it shows through in this film, in the flashbacks, the 1978 flashbacks, when Halloween night 1978 actually looks like Halloween night, not a summer's day with some leaves dropped on the ground, which is what it is in the original film. In Halloween 2, there's some lovely misty scenes when as the dawn comes up on the next day, which isn't Halloween. And in this movie, the 1978 flashbacks, are really visually atmospheric. I definitely like that, and I kind of wish, in a way, I would have liked to see more of that 1978 sequence. I kind of wish somebody would make a Halloween 2 again that goes back to 78. I mean, I realise they wouldn't do it. The reason they wouldn't do it now is because they didn't have the good fortune of finding somebody among the crew who looks just like 18-year-old Jamie Lee Curtis, as well as somebody who looked just like 1978 Donald Pleasance. So they've got to kind of cut away from those characters. But I kind of want to see a different take on what happened following that night.
I think so. Well, you could probably see the backstory that they filled in, because there's quite a long bit of lore that we don't get to see now, because it's 78 and then 2018. That's a huge amount of time that you could fill with, I don't know, Michael. I don't know, something. You could have Sartain. Sartain was a really good character, really interesting idea. But again, they just go, nope, dead. He's another victim. Like a bad Loomis. I mean, not that Loomis was great anyway, but like a really like evil, like malevolent Loomis is an interesting idea.
Chris Hewitt on
speaking of Halloween.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Chris Hewitt on the Evolution of Horror podcast called Sartain shit Loomis.
I mean, he's not wrong, is he? He's not wrong. There was something there, and I remember when she goes, "Oh, you're the new Loomis," and I went, "No, Jamie, you're the new Loomis.
Yeah.
Laurie is the new Loomis." That's what I thought they were doing. That's why they made him evil, and I was like, "Okay, that's cool. He's evil, and now we've got a good Loomis, a bad Loomis." But then, cracking his head. I think they do this head crushing thing, like Howard mentioned, because it's like a pumpkin. I think they keep doing it because it's the idea that he's stamping on the pumpkins and stuff. Like they blow up the with the explosives. That stoner kid in the first one blows up the pumpkins with his with candy bombs or whatever they're called, cherry bombs or something.
Right.
So going back to Halloween 2, another thing it made me chuckle in the flashback is the lead policeman in that goes, Loomis told me he shot him multiple times, and I went, I shot him 6 times. I shot him 6 times. You don't know what death is.
Yeah.
I shot him in the heart. I shot him 6 times.
That's the tragedy.
You don't know what death is.
Writing Halloween 2 after continuity loses us all of those great Loomis lines. What a shame.
Yeah.
But
if this is, I guess this is technically a Halloween 3, isn't it? I guess this one, because we have the original, the 2018 and then this. So yeah, I was going to say this is a worse Halloween 2 than Halloween 2, but I guess technically it's not Halloween 2. 2018 would be Halloween 2. Very confusing. Very confusing.
Hey, maybe in a couple of years we'll get a reboot where they decide Halloween 2 is still in the continuity, but all the others aren't. So we can have flashbacks.
Careful, Dan. We're gonna get someone with AI is gonna make it, like you said. Put Loomis in it, put Laurie in it, put everybody in it, and someone make the whole new Halloween 2 out of AI. God forbid someone does that. Don't do that. I'm not inspiring that.
It's not your fault, Dan. The fans will do it, though. It's going to happen. There are already a million Halloween fan films. There are going to be more.
True.
I just want the one. Please, mad fans, if you are out there, if you're insisting on doing it, get Danielle Harris. I'm pretty sure she's not doing anything. Get her to do the alternative universe Halloween 4 sequel. A bit like we got Rocky 4 Part 2. It was called Creed 2. Let's have Halloween 4 Part 2, in which little Jamie Lloyd, well, she's not little anymore. She's been in an asylum for 40 years, and she breaks out, and she is the new Michael. I would pay to see that. That was a thought I had after I say completed, but in the period after we'd done our podcast and there weren't yet any more Halloween films, and I was thinking about it, we kind of lamented the fact that that John Carpenter's original vision for the sequels was not followed, in that after Halloween 3, there would be more anthology movies, different stories set around Halloween. But then I realised, actually, the Halloween series is an anthology series anyway, that several different universes. It's like Tales of Michael Myers. That's the one where he's a non-supernatural 60-year-old man who didn't kill anyone for 40 years and then made up for it by killing 400 people in one night. There's the universe where he was blown up or dropped in a lift shaft or something, but passed on his soul to a little girl who then grows up, and there could be more to do. And then we could have the flashback where Don Forces goes, no, 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 no. No. Come on.
One of my favourite bits.
Beautiful. No, nobody does that impression like you, Dan. Let's bring back Dwight H. Little to direct Halloween 4 Part 2. He'd damn well do it. I'm pretty sure. That is the one I paid to see. Yeah. So I suppose that says something about Halloween Kills, that the most positive and excited I've got during this discussion has been thinking about the movies that have not been made.
Or comparing it to the other sequels that are far, far superior in most ways, I'd say. Yeah.
Who'd have thought we'd have, I mean, after our feelings on the 2018 film being mixed to positive, mostly positive on your side, Dan, and I really do appreciate your viewpoint on that and the way you've brought out the positive qualities in this film as well. But who'd have thought we'd go from that movie to a movie that is worse than nearly all of the films that came before? In fact, probably all of them. I think even in Halloween 6, we probably found some things to like.
I think so. I remember.
Go on.
I remember there were a lot of bad ones that we did, the Rob Zombie ones we weren't particularly fond of. They were quite bad. Resurrection, I remember Howard liking Resurrection a bit more than me because it was something different, at least, which I respect.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember really disliking 5 as well. I think you guys, for 6, I think I watched the producer's cut. Is that the one with more Loomis?
Yeah.
I watched that one. I think you guys watched the theatrical with more Michael, I believe. So I think I maybe enjoyed 6 a bit more than 5 as well. But it's one of this is definitely one of the lesser sequels for me out of the ones we've covered.
Right. I mean, and after what we've been through, Dan, after the journey we've been on, isn't it good to be able to say, to finally reach the summit of the mountain and go, yeah, this was one of the worst ones.
We're like Laurie Strode. We've had our trauma.
Yeah.
We're trying to work through all of our problems and deal with the evil that's infected us through these
Oh, God.
films.
And you know what? I guess we've asked for it. Nobody made us do this, so there we are.
True,
But,
true.
And you know what?
Much like Laurie.
Yeah,
And we've
indeed.
been wishing for this. We've been wishing for Michael to escape yet again. The symmetry is there. It's not,
That's kind
it's
of
not
true as well.
unbeknownst to me. I can see the symmetry.
Yeah. And you know what? Simply by deciding that we should do podcasts about every single Halloween movie, what am I doing if not wishing that they'll make them forever? That we'll keep podcasting about them forever. And I'm sure that
we keep paying for them. We keep renting them. We keep giving them money to do more.
You know what? And if they make any more, I will watch them. I absolutely will. I thought I saw a putty cat. I did see a putty cat. I don't know when that came into my head, but yeah. Dan, it's been an hour. We probably could have clocked off this recording about 20 minutes ago. I thought, this is going to be one of the shortest ones we've ever done because we seem to have said everything negative we could have said, but then we carried on. And of course, although I've just described it as the summit of the mountain, it's not the summit of the mountain because 1 year after this movie, another film that was made back to back. And when films are made back to back, you kind of think, oh, Lord of the Rings, oh, Superman 1 and 2, oh, these are probably going to be two very closely linked movies that are thematically resonant and really feel like one big movie. But is that what one will feel after watching Halloween Ends? Maybe not. Let's come back in the next episode, Dan, and discuss that and also have Howard's thoughts as well. The three of us all together for the end of the saga as we were for its very beginning. I'm actually looking forward to the conversation. That's looking forward to the conversation. I'm trying to think of a pithy way to end it. I'm looking forward to that conversation, Dan. I can't reveal whether I enjoyed watching the movie. We'll have to find that out in a few minutes. In a few minutes. Won't be that for the listener, will it? I'm going to have to edit the hell out of this. I'm looking forward to that conversation. I can't reveal whether or not I enjoyed the movie, or indeed I can look forward to watching it again. Maybe I won't. But let's see how I and Howard all felt about that movie in the next episode of And Now the Podcast Starts. Dear listener, that's what will be coming next. Please join us for that. And in the meantime, I would like to thank you for listening. I would like to thank you, Dan, for joining us on this journey, which we've all struggled through together. And I would just like to say, like Conal Cochran once did, Happy Halloween. And maybe I'll